Um, let's see who's next. Bobby, could you introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Bobby Lubashevsky, class of 2010. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm currently Assistant Director of Marketing in UMBC's Division of Professional Studies and President of the Professional Staff Senate.
Thank you. Okay. Could you introduce yourself, please?
I'm sorry, I'm tardy for the party. My name is Candace Martinez-Doan. I use she, her, hers pronouns. Assistant Director for Leadership and Governance. I also serve as the SGA advisor. I'm not a voting member of this body, and I'm recording this meeting for SGA and will be passing the host privileges to Kai in a moment.
Oh, thanks. I think I'm able to share my screen now. All right, cool. Can y'all see my screen? Yes. Okay, cool. All right, could you introduce me, please?
Me? Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, so my name is Beatrice Gutierrez Malagon. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the coordinator for leadership at Campus Life, and I am also a co-advisor for Senate. I am not a voting member of this group.
Thanks, B. All right. Mokira.
Hi, I'm Mokira. I am the coordinator of student engagement, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Thanks, Mokira. Mati.
Hi, Mati put hers in the chat.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see. Yeah, this is Mati. She, her pronouns, and she's also an SGA senator and is a senior. All right. Erica.
Hi, I'm Erica. I'm secretary.
Thanks, Erica. All right, Francesca.
Hello, I'm Francesca. I'm in FYA shadowing the Senate.
Thanks, Francesca. Mario?
Hi, my name is Maria. I'm an SGA senator. My pronouns are she and hers, and I am a sophomore.
Thanks, Maria. All right, and Rashad.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mershad Devon. I'm a third-year student majoring in biology and physics. I also have the privilege of serving as your SGA president for this year. I use him and him's pronouns.
Thanks, Rashad. Meno?
Hi, my name is Mena. I'm an SGA senator. I'm a junior, and my pronouns are she, hers.
Thanks, Mena. Nayla Benet.
I'm Neil Benet, an SGA senator and a sophomore, and my pronouns are she, hers.
Thanks, Nayla. And Wendy?
I'm Wendy. I'm a third-year student, she, her pronouns, and I'm the assistant speaker of the Senate.
Thanks, Wendy. And Z. I think there's some audio issues going on with Z's, but Z is a SJ senator also, and they use they, them pronouns. Okay. All right, so I will go ahead and read land acknowledgement, our weekly land acknowledgement, and it's very important to say this today because of the Indigenous People Day. So this is an adaptation from Dr. Jasmine Lee, the Director of Inclusive Excellence. So related to our value of inclusive excellence, we would like to acknowledge that UMBC is built on the native tribal lands of the indigenous Piscataway Conoy tribes. We acknowledge the painful history of forced removal from this territory, honor their history as cultivators of this land, and respect the many diverse indigenous peoples still connected to this land on which we gather. So yeah, I just want to emphasize and relate the importance of this as although that we are physically not at the UMBC campus, acknowledging where UMBC is physically laid on the land. So Yeah, thank you all for joining me on that. And we will go ahead for the approval of the agenda. The agenda look all right with everybody? Is there a motion?
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Got a second? All right. All those opposed, I guess it's unanimous. All right. So we will look over the minutes that Erica has typed up for us. If y'all have any changes y'all want to add, we say so now, but if y'all read the minutes prior, is there a motion on the floor for this?
I move to approve the minutes.
We got Wendy moved. Is there a second?
Second.
And there's a second. All right, thanks. All right. So our first round of new business is a presentation from Bobby Lubowski. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Not even close, but it's okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's all right. So yeah, I'm gonna share my screen if that is okay with you.
Definitely.
Yeah, just have a real simple presentation. So I was asked to come today just to give a brief overview of what Professional Staff Senate is and just kind of do a quick little Q&A. So first of all, staff governance at UMBC. There are really three different governing bodies for staff. Most of our non-exempt staff members, which are those staff members who are hourly and are eligible for overtime pay after 40 hours, fall into the collective bargaining unit, which is basically the union. This falls a little bit out of our normal shared governance structure. So the collective bargaining unit doesn't sit on the university steering committee with all the other heads of the senates. We also have our non-exempt staff senate, which is the representative body for regular and contingent to non-exempt staff that aren't eligible for collective bargaining. So these will be people that handle sensitive data that does not allow them to be part of the union. So NES is a very small shared governance body, but does fall kind of in our normal shared governance structure. And then we have Professional Staff Senate, which is the representative body for exempt salaried employees at UMBC. So PSS is made up of 18 senators and 6 officer positions. So we have a president, vice president, past president, secretary, which we are allowed to carry 2 secretaries in any given year. This year we do currently have 2, a treasurer and our communications officer. And our senators serve 2-year terms, and every year half of the Senate rolls out and we elect new senators from there. Officers serve 1-year term. And there's weird restrictions about how many terms you can serve under each. We just changed the rules last year or 2 years ago for presidents. So now presidents can serve consecutive terms. Previously, you were only allowed to serve 1 term as president, but we realized that it really took people a good 6 months to figure out what the hell they were doing as president. So we wanted to give people the opportunity, if they wanted, to stay on and continue the great work they're doing. So this is actually my 2nd term as PSS president. Another kind of interesting caveat with PSS, we also have members of the Council of University System staff sit in on our PSS meetings. They're non-voting members, but CUS is the university system level staff governance body. So we have Layla Shashani and Michael Walsh are 2 CUS representatives, and Layla also serves as the CUS chair for the whole governing body there. So PSS, most of our work comes out of all of the committees that we serve on. Many of you will probably be familiar with kind of this committee structure. We send representatives to university committees and task forces, which they all live within different departments and are governed by those UMBC departments. And then we also have our PSS committees, ad hoc committees and task forces, which we as PSS maintain and control there. So we have a lot of really good work that comes out of some of these. Three of the committees that are going to be busiest this year that I'm most excited about. So staff outreach and development. Typically, this is the committee that is looking to foster a sense of community amongst staff at UMBC, as well as promote professional development opportunities. So they're really working hard to figure out ways to connect staff in this virtual world. Because one of the problems with staff in a normal on-campus setting is that we all tend to be very siloed. I work in X department. I hang out with the people in my department. I don't have a lot of cross-campus collaboration. Obviously, in this virtual world, that is even more of an issue. So they're really working on ways to kind of bridge those gaps and make those connections. So I'm excited about some of the things that are coming out of that committee. So our work-life balance committee is our newest standing committee. It was an ad hoc committee that started a couple years ago. And they've been doing a lot of great work with HR and really promoting different work-life balance options for staff, promoting alternative work arrangements and different ways that staff can maintain that better work-life balance. They're also working on several cool things that are going on this year, because obviously the things, again, that are normally issues for people in an on-campus environment are slightly different in this virtual world, where now our work life is kind of merged, especially for those of us that have children that now have to try to find out ways to balance work and schoolwork with our children and all of those complex issues. And then our mentoring committee is another exciting committee. They, over the last, I think, 5 or 6 years, have been working to really pair employees who have been with UMBC for 5 years or more with employees that are new within the last year or so at UMBC, to really just kind of help show them the ropes, start working on those relationships, and really just, again, fostering that sense of community. And then we also have a lot of other great work that comes out of other PSS committees we have, but I just wanted to really highlight those couple. And then every year we work on our action plan, which is our guiding document that really outlines the core work that we are going to do each year. So for this year's action plan, we have outlined 4 different categories for which we are really focusing on. And those are support, community, advocacy, and development. So I can share a quick, I think that was my last actual slide. I'm going to share another document real quick. So this is what our action plan looks like. As you can see, we have those 4 buckets that we're really working out of: support, community, advocacy, and development. We define what each of those are, and then there are bullets in ways that we are aiming to really move the needle on some of these things. So for instance, for support, we're going to advocate for increased transparency from the administration and HR through regular communications, and act as a conduit for staff questions and concerns. So some of you might have seen we've worked with HR in the not too distant past on some staff town halls and things of that nature to help inform staff of opportunities that they might not be aware of. So a lot of times we'll see that, for instance, the Family First Coronavirus Act came out and HR posted it on their website, but there was no communication about it, and staff didn't know that this was an option that they could take advantage of. So we worked with HR, put together a staff town hall to really answer some questions and educate staff about the opportunities available to them. So again, these are just kind of all of the main points that we're trying to move forward this year in this weird virtual world. So that's kind of my short little spiel. Does anyone have any questions about PSS or anything?
Thank you so much for that presentation. I had a quick question about the mentoring program. Is that geared towards undergraduate and graduate students, like fostering that?
So right now, the mentoring program is really just for exempt staff, since that's our primary constituency, and we have very limited funding for some of these things. So right now, we're mainly focusing on that area.
Oh, okay, thanks. I think Mershad had a question also.
Thank you so much for that informative presentation, Bobby. If there's one thing that I learned from USC this year is that all of our senates operate on very different levels and very differently. So it's just really interesting how professional staff senate goes about their daily work. One question that I had though is regarding the your work within the staff senate. Do you guys if there's any proposed policy changes to the way staff operate at UMBC, how do y'all go about making those changes happen? Like, because it's just I'm trying to figure out how each senate goes about, doing that work when it comes to policy changes, especially like the bigger community policy changes. Just because what I've noticed is that the work that we do is the way that we go about making those policy changes much different from the work that PSS or like faculty senate does. So I just wanted to get a better understanding of how you go about proposing those policy changes and making them come to fruition.
Yeah, so really, when it comes to policy changes for staff, we don't propose a lot of changes ourselves. We try to have constant communication with upper administration to let them know what staff are thinking and talking about across campus so that we can help inform them on those policy changes. But at least in my time on PSS over the last 4 years or 3.5 years, we have not been active on actually putting any policy changes forward.
Awesome, thank you. And I had a smaller question. The meetings for this Senate is once a month, right, for PSS?
Yeah, we meet on the second Thursday of each month from 2:30 to 4:30.
Awesome, thank you.
Of course. And I will say one of the positive things that have come out of this virtual world is all of a sudden the attendance at our PSS meetings went from just our normal senators, which at times we would have trouble getting quorum, to all of a sudden we have 35, 40 people attending our monthly meetings, which is really tremendous and one of the few benefits that have come out of this virtual world. Does anyone else have any questions?
If we would like to get in contact with you in the future, is there an email or a means of contacting professional staff senate or maybe you?
Yeah, so pss@umbc.edu is our general email address, and that will go to me and some of the other exec board members. So that's the best way to get in touch with us. Also, anyone can feel free to email me personally at any time. You can find me in the staff directory, but my email address is bobbyluby, BOBBYLUBY @umbc.edu.
All right, thank you so much, Bobby. That was very informative, and we're trying to get a sense of idea of like how all the other senates in the university are structured. So this is very informative. Thank you so much.
Of course, yeah, I was happy to be here, and we're kind of doing something similar. So we had SGA come in, I think, last month. We had GSA present last week for us. We have Faculty Senate coming in next month. So we're kind of in the same boat where we're just trying to learn a little bit more about all of the different Senate structures and how everything works.
All right.
Thanks again.
All right, thanks, Bobby, for coming in. Okay, I will go ahead and share my screen again to show the agenda. My screen is frozen. Can y'all see my screen? Yes. All right. All right. So our next item on the agenda is a presentation from Dr. Ehrman and representative from Together All, Matthew. The floor is all yours.
Is Matt with us? I don't know if he's here yet.
I
am, yes.
Oh, great. Wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just give a quick introduction and then get a chance to introduce you to Matt McAvoy from Together All. So in addition to providing counseling services, the Counseling Center also works on having other services that support students' mental health available. So we have a few things available already that I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about, but I'll just mention them. So we've got WellTrack, which is an online mental health support program. We've got Cognito, which is a program that helps support students to support each other and to get help, and also supports LGBTQ students, as well as a program for supporting veterans. We have the interactive screening program. That's a place where students can come and get a self-assessment and then get referred and speak to someone about help. And now we're talking about Together All. I just want to highlight that we also have a after-hours support line that's available to students 24 hours. Whenever we're closed, it's available. So there's always someone available to talk to students and give them support. But Together All is a whole different kind of approach. And this is something that I've had conversations probably going back to, the first of the 8 years ago that I've been here, that students are always asking about how can we better support each other? Is there a way for us to provide direct support to each other? And it's always been kind of a hard lift, because how do you do that in a safe way where students are getting the support that they need and we're not actually creating potentially more risk for students? And we've been in conversations with Matt and with Together All for at least 2 or possibly 3 years about the possibility of this program. And it's something that we're really interested in. But also, one of the challenges with all these programs is that if students don't do them, we end up spending money on them and they don't provide a lot of help. And so I thought it'd be really helpful to have a conversation about what level of interest you think students would have, and whether this is an initiative that SGA, would be helpful in supporting and want to take forward. So I think that probably provides enough background to have Matt tell us about Together All, which is a program that's just been moving into working with U.S. colleges in the past few weeks, really. So Matt, maybe you can introduce yourself. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Yeah, as Bruce said, and I can maybe just share my screen. I have a couple of slides, and then we'll do a bit of a demo of the platform. I give you a little bit of background. So I lead our organization. So we're a social impact organization at Together All, and our really at the core of what we do is connecting students to other students so they can help and support each other and do so in a digital, safe online environment. So I'll share a couple of things. Hopefully, can you see my screen, I hope? I see some nods, good, okay. So just like talk a little bit about what Together All it is, and really is, to Bruce's point, is a way to create a community of support. So to give students a place where they can log on anonymously and support one another. And so really, essentially, at our core, we're an anonymous, safe, online, peer-to-peer mental health community. And we talk about it being a safe community because it's monitored 24 hours a day by clinicians. So a student can log on at any time, day or night. There's 1.6 million other students who have access to the community. So there's always going to be someone on there who has that same shared lived experience, and they'll be able to connect and find support in an online environment. And when I show you the kind of the demo, you'll get a sense of what it's like. And our clinicians, our counselors are there to do really 3 things. One is to make sure that the community is a safe place. So they do intervene when there is talk of self-harm and suicide, and being a mental health community, that inevitably happens. And so we work with the institution. As Bruce mentioned, you have an after-hours hotline, so we would work with them if there is a need for an immediate intervention. Our clinicians help students get on the phone with someone to have an immediate support. Our counselors also make sure that it's a positive and supportive environment as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then they're also there to help navigate students to more intensive levels of care, recognizing that peer-to-peer has a really important place, but that oftentimes students might need more help, and it might be connecting a UMBC student to the WellTrack program or to Cognito or to remote-based counseling that you have available through the counseling center. So that's really at the core of what we do. And we are now, 150 institutions, 1.6 million students across Canada, the UK, and the United States. And really, just quickly elaborate a little bit more about peer-to-peer support. And I think various campuses are looking at different ways of doing that. Right before we were able to, before the pandemic happened, I was at an Active Minds conference. And Active Minds, of course, being a student-led campus mental health advocacy group. And I heard there that 60% of campuses have some form of peer support available on campus. So it's really an emerging trend across most campuses. But to Bruce's point, it can be difficult to organize and do in a way that's going to be safe and supportive. And we know, so that's happening. We know that students connecting with other students has a whole range of benefits. So it increases, of course, coping skills and ongoing recovery for those suffering with mental health issues. It increases social engagement, builds awareness of other resources, and also empowers students to take action, right? Very often, a peer conversation is a first step that a student might take to getting a little bit more support from their mental health. And the other sort of trend, kind of before I jump into the platform, that we notice in doing some of our research is that young people in particular are reaching out to other platforms like Reddit and Facebook and Instagram and joining unmoderated groups that are potentially unsafe for a whole range of reasons. Of course, there's no clinical moderation in those types of forums, but also data security and that sort of thing is also a concern. I think sort of the last place I might want to go to share about my mental health is a Facebook group, but people are logging on in the millions and joining these sort of makeshift mental health communities. So very quickly, I mentioned the number and the size and the community, but there's really three kind of key areas in the community. The first area is the community itself, and so that's where the peer-to-peer helping happens. Courses, there's some text-based self-help courses on there, as well as some resources, some articles and self-assessment tools and those sorts of things. What's interesting about both of these areas is we know you have on campus a couple of other or many other digital type of programs. So those can all be integrated into the courses and resources section. So as you're a UMBC student logging on, you would have access to everything that's in Togetherall, but then also links out to things like Cognito and WellTrack for other types of support. And as I mentioned, we call our licensed mental health practitioners wall guides within the community, and our wall guides are licensed mental health practitioners and are there 24/7 to make sure the community is safe and supportive. So that's just a tiny bit of background before I kind of show you what the community looks like. Maybe just pause there for a second and see if anybody has any immediate questions before I jump into the demonstration of the platform. No? Okay, great. I'm just going to stop sharing for a second while I switch over to the community. So bear with me for just a minute. Okay. So this is what the community looks like in sort of a generic way when a student lands. A couple of key things to notice in the community. One is that there is an anonymous username. So I used to have an old Chevy Impala as my first car. So Impala 2 is my anonymous username. And so anybody who comes on will create that anonymous username. And that's really important. So one of the things that we hear from students is the number one reason they come to Together All for support is that it is anonymous. So it's anonymous on the front end, but our clinicians actually on the back end of the platform know that it might be Matthew McAvoy who goes to UMBC. And that's important because if there is ever a situation where there's a risk of self-harm, our clinicians are able to escalate that student and get them on the phone to, let's say, the after-hours support that Bruce mentioned at the beginning and that sort of thing. So that anonymity is really important. You'll see on every page this sort of Ask a Wall Guide button. So there's always, no matter what time of day, a way that a student can communicate directly with one of our clinicians. And vice versa, our clinicians are always able to reach out to members within the community if they need to provide some additional support, or let's say a member is talking about just feeling depressed and they maybe have taken an assessment within the community and scored high. One of our clinicians might reach out to them and let them know that there are other resources available to them either within the platform or available to them through the community or through campus resources as well. So we'll go to the community first because this is really the area that when institutions bring the program to campus is kind of the critical piece. So you can see it's a safe space where people provide peer-to-peer emotional support, help, and guidance. And it's organized in a feed, so very much like a social media platform. There's a feed of people posting and responding to various posts. The posts are all tagged, a bit of like a hashtag type of idea, related to a specific issue. So when a student comes on, they can search up here in the search bar for posts related to anxiety or maybe loneliness. Then you can also filter the posts by those specific issues as well. Let's take you into an example of one or two. This one just from a few weeks ago where we had a university student who was just about to come back to campus and was just feeling really anxious. I think as many students are, we hear that across so many campuses, especially related to COVID. So just give you a sense as to how this works. So this is their anonymous username is Zizu10, and they've tagged their post to be about anxiety. And so they say, "Hi all, I'm feeling a bit anxious about returning to university. I know they've set up a lot of safety measures with one-way systems and reduced numbers in classrooms, etc. And hopefully it's safe. Looking forward to seeing my friends again, but I don't know how to greet them. I'm a bit worried that they may want to hug me and make me feel uncomfortable. Am I the only one who still feels a bit anxious about this, or does anyone else feel worried too?" So we're seeing those types of posts in the thousands upon thousands, just students just concerned about the coronavirus and how they're going to interact with their friends. And so what happens in the background, the technology that we've developed is anytime someone logs on to our community for the very first time, our wall guides are going to get a notification of that. And so the wall guide will get this notification and say something supportive, welcome them to the community. So thank you for posting in the community and welcome to Together All. We can hear your anxiety and hope someone will be along to support you in a moment. And then the community takes over. So this member called Breathe In says, feeling exactly the same way about the whole university situation. I'm back and living with my university friends has helped with loneliness, but also a lot of anxiety about how courses are being taught, subject to change, and whether I can manage to get the grades I deserve when dealing with so much uncertainty. All the best to you. And then another couple of students reply, I'm in a similar situation. I've been in my new accommodation for about 24 hours and I can already feel the stress coming on. And then another member posts something very similar about the first week being tough. And then the original member says, hi there, thanks for all your support, or all your helpful and supportive comments so far. It's so nice to hear I'm not the only one worrying about this. Thanks for your advice. I'll talk to my friends about how we greet each other before we meet. So hopefully they'll at least understand how I feel. So that's, I think, just a very common example of how the community is being used, and I like that one because it's very recent and it's nice and short. But there's a whole range of posts about a whole range of different topics related to mental health and anxiety. Some of them are more day-to-day like this. Some of them are a lot more serious. You know, we probably see at least 2 or 3 members in the community who are posting about risk who need to be escalated out of the community and speak to a clinician 24 hours a day. So maybe I'll just kind of pause there and see if you have any immediate questions. There's a whole bunch of other areas which I can share with you, but I wanted to just to make sure that you see kind of how the community works in and of itself.
I believe Rashad had a question.
Hi, I just had a quick question. Thank you for the presentation. That was very informative. Was this program, I remember a similar application being called, there was this like other thing that we were talking about earlier in the summer, Great Big Wall. Is this the same thing?
Big White Wall, yep, that's right, it's the same thing. So we rebranded as Together All, that's right. Yeah, exactly the same service, just with a different name.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Kayla.
Hello, can you hear me well?
Hi. Yeah, clear.
Okay, I have 2 questions. Let me ask the first one before I forget. So actually, no, I'm asking the second one. It's in my head. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, you said that there's a 24-hour helpline basically when things are getting, you know, it seems like they need outside help. So what is the protocol if somebody seems like they're in danger? What kind of things do you have in place? So what would that look like if someone were to start talking about suicide or self-harm?
Yeah, it's a really great question, and it does happen every day within the community. So something, because we're available to so many students, it does happen, you know, multiple times a day, and so that's why we have clinicians monitoring and moderating the community to make sure that it's safe. And so what happens is, you know, if you're to look at that type of thread that I showed, if someone says, you know, I'm thinking of ending my life or cutting myself or something like that, that might be self-harm related, our wall guys will send them a direct message right to the student and actually engage them in a back and forth and do a bit of a risk assessment with them. They'll also do is send a message to everyone else who is in that thread saying, hey, just wanted to remind everyone that there are counselors here available for you 24 hours a day in case anyone needs extra support. We've wanted to let you know that we've also reached out to Impala 2 to offer some additional one-on-one support. So it's important because sometimes when a student mentions self-harm within the community, it can be triggering to other students. So want to make sure it's clear that to others that there are that support available 24 hours a day. And then our clinicians will have essentially a risk assessment and intervention with that individual student. So they'll go back and forth, they'll ask the student really specific and direct questions about you know, their intent to follow through with what they've posted about, if they have a plan or a means and a method to do that. And then they'll use their clinical judgment to either de-escalate the situation. Sometimes the student will say, oh, you know, I didn't really mean that. I was being very flippant. I shouldn't have said that, you know, or they might be really serious. And if they are, what we do is with each individual campus, we set up a really specific protocol for how Bruce and the counseling team would like us to handle those types of scenarios. And so when there is an after hours 24-hour a day kind of counseling line, we essentially warm transfer the student from our community to the telephone so that there can be a telephone assessment and immediate intervention. In the rare case where someone is really at imminent risk, we'll involve the authorities appropriately to really make sure that student is safe. But the vast majority of cases actually are resolved within the community. Where we need to, we escalate them to the after hours hotline that's been sponsored by the campus.
And I'm assuming that like sign up requires the school email, but does it also require a phone number in case something were to escalate like that?
It does. Yeah, that's a great question. So the only things that you need to log on when you sign up, and I didn't want to take you through because we didn't have too much time today, but is your umbc.edu email address and a telephone number, as well as date of birth, and a couple of just sort of demographic questions just around year of study and things like that, which you can skip if you like. But really what we're trying to do is make it quick and easy for students to get in and get the support that they need.
Okay, that was a follow-up question, but my second question was,
Sure.
so how would you say what would you say makes it different from all the other platforms that you did show us? Like Reddit is it can be a toxic community at sometimes for people struggling, but I often find that sometimes it does offer the same amount of community that you're claiming TogetherAll offers. So what would differentiate TogetherAll from these other platforms?
Yeah, I think, and that's a great point. I think it's actually the safety of it, right? The anonymity of it. Part of sometimes it does kind of. I'm sure you've seen. I've spent quite a bit of time in some of the mental health forums on Reddit, and sometimes it can get very negative and very toxic. And so one of the things that a student agrees to when they join TogetherAll is that there's two main things. One is that they'll protect their anonymity, and the other is that there'll be a positive and supportive community. So because our clinicians are moderating it, it is always positive and supportive. And if there is a need for immediate support, because we have the relationship with UMBC, we can either direct them to that after hours hotline, but we can also direct them to Cognito or to WellTrack, or when in more regular times when there might be a group counseling session on Thursdays in the Student Center at 3 p.m. Our counselors are aware of that. So really helping the student navigate to get to more intensive levels of care. And because it's a closed community, it's not available to everyone like Reddit. It is safe and supportive, and there's students who are there. They're there for the right reasons to really support others. So it's a much more positive experience, I think, than a lot of those other open source type of communities are. A great question. There's a couple of other kind of areas within the community. So what I just showed you, I wanted to give you just a bit of a sense of it is, so those are what we call them community talkabouts. You can also create, what happens is once you're on the community once or twice, very often students will find another student who they might connect with. And so you can create, so what I showed you was a talkabout. You can create a group talkabout where it's closed even. This is how you just create a post. So it's just test post. You select your category. So we'll go anxiety and loneliness. And you would write test post. And then you would add a friend down here. So if you have met somebody within the community that you like, you start typing their name. And this is a colleague of mine who I know their post, and then only that person, you'd hit post, and then only that person would see this post show up in their feed. And then that's actually where a lot of the ongoing sharing happens, where you might connect with 2 or 3 people who are all suffering from, let's say, social anxiety about having to go to a class of 300 people. That causes a lot of students anxiety when we used to go to classes of 300 people, of course, and get that support. And so those are all monitored, of course, by our clinicians. So the other neat thing within the community is the ability to create a brick. So you can, a little bit of essentially art therapy. So instead of actually writing how you're feeling, there's the ability to draw a picture and post it to the community. So this one is by B434. They've tagged it anxiety, depression, and loneliness and stress. And they've posted, the student is feeling like they're stuck between 2 locked doors and they're not quite sure where to turn. And then they have a little narrative there that says, basically, I feel like I've got nowhere to go. There's no future for me no matter what I try. All the doors are locked and I don't know how to open them. I'm just stuck here. So a bit of a sad sentiment, but they felt better to express it in sort of a picture format, even if it's rudimentary. And then our wall guide posts something supportive, and then the community takes over like I showed you. So those are kind of the 3 different ways to interact in the peer-to-peer element. And then very quickly, there are some courses and resources on a whole range of different topics. So coping with grief and loss, substance abuse, managing anger, panic, and a whole range of other courses here. What's sort of unique about the courses, I'll just click into one, is that if you're a student going through a grief and loss course, there's various modules along the side here. As I said, they're text-based, so there's journaling tools. There is a specific course talk about. So if you've just lost a loved one, for example, and you're taking this grief and loss course, you can join a closed community of people who are also going through grief and loss, and then they'll be one of our wall guides. You can see there's 1,000 students in this particular course and can get support in that way. So again, sort of the similar type of thread that I shared with you. And then last section is just around the resources. So there's some goal setting and journaling. There's some self-assessments, and there's some articles that you can read in here as well. When we set up an instance for UMBC, there would also be a UMBC section as well, where we can post links back to the Counseling Center, links to other digital programs like WellTrack and Cognito, or any sort of articles or wellness. Like it's all based on a learning management system. So this section is entirely configurable, so we can add any UMBC specific content that we might want to add to the community as well. Yeah, so that's the very high level overview. Any other questions? Or I'd love some comments and feedback on if you think students might like to be a part of this community at UMBC as well.
Thank you for sharing. I have 2 questions. First, do you know how COVID-19 is impacting student engagement? Because I know for myself and some people that I've talked to, it's been really stressful for our own lives, much less supporting other students.
Yeah. So it's been COVID-19 has been a really interesting time for us. So we've seen 2 major spikes in engagement and activity within our community. So between March and April, right as the COVID-19 was declared a pandemic, we saw new users in our platform shoot up by 175%, which was quite something for that first month of the pandemic, and roughly 80% of the discussions were related to COVID in some way. So we were seeing obviously concerns about the virus, the example I showed you, concerns about spreading it to others or catching it, but we're also seeing a lot of students concerned about graduating, particularly in April, graduating into the job market with all the uncertainty around the economy. Lots of concerns around housing insecurity, food insecurity for a lot of students, and so it's been really an interesting time. And then, of course, in September, in August and September, as students came back to campus, we saw another spike of not quite as pronounced, but probably just a little over 100% over the September previous in terms of the number of new students who've registered for the service and who are logging on and posting. So there's quite a vibrant community all around, a lot of it around COVID-19.
Thanks. And my other question was, so I saw that everything is kind of on a feed. Is there any way to filter the content of these posts? Because some people might get triggered by a specific topic. So is there a way that we can avoid seeing that?
Yeah, so the ability here to if you're just concerned about loneliness, for example, you can always leave this on your feed. And so you'll only see posts that have been tagged about loneliness. So you can see them here. Very often we have students, especially who've come on 2 or 3 times, will actually only log on and go to the ones that they've starred. So they might have, let's try to put so there's one that was COVID anxieties here that had 71 comments. This is one of those open communities, but they may only go to their only group community where they have 2 or 3 other students that they've really connected with, and actually we'll just ignore the rest of the community. So that happens quite a bit as well. So there's a lot of different ways that a student can use and make the community sort of feel like their own.
All right, thank you. And I think Kai had a question next.
No, Kayla.
Oh, okay. First I wanted to comment on like this seems like a really cool and neat idea. I'm really digging it. I like the fact that there is like a community aspect to it. When it was introduced, I was worried about that whole thing about, you know, regulation because sometimes when people are in a bad place, they say things that might be triggering to others. And with that 24/7 hour, like that support from the counselors, I think that's a really cool and unique feature that Together All has. My question was for I think it was a wall track or something. Is that a bot or are those people? I didn't get that one. I was confused.
So yeah, all the counselors who are within our community are real people. So anytime someone posts anything for the first time, and you'll see this kind of icon of wall guides or WG, and those are all our master's level clinicians. And then we can link students to some other self-directed programs. So I know, and Bruce, if you want to comment on WellTrack specifically, but you know, we can link out to other programs that UMBC has made available. So WellTrack is a self-help tool, a digital self-help tool, which has got lots of courses and sort of an interactive features to it. It's all self-directed, so there's no clinician involvement in that.
Actually, though, there can be. They can do WellTrack either on their own, or they could work with a counseling center clinician on WellTrack also. Yeah. The other thing that I heard in your question, Kayla, was about a bot. And I don't know if you've talked so much about it, but I think that is one of the exciting things that you might understand is that this is monitored by people. But do you want to talk more about the technology part of it as well?
Yeah, I mean it's really intriguing. Yeah, I would like to hear more about that.
Yeah, because there is a technology. It's not just like people reading this stuff. It's technology aided. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So in the background, there is an algorithm. And so all of the interactions that a student would have with each other or with one of our law guides it's all human to human. So there's no bots or anything like that in there. But what the algorithm does is actually it does a number of things. So it flags to our law guides when a member has come on anew and posted something for the first time. So we'll write a supportive message. We also have the ability to look for risk within people's posts. So there's obvious risks, of course, things like suicide, self-harm, gun, pills, things that you would associate with risk will be caught by the algorithm, and then our clinicians are going to intervene right there in the moment. But they're also able to, because we've been doing this for so long, we know when there might be phrases that are less overt. So, you know, the word life can be used in a number of ways. You know, you might say, I haven't had a drink in 30 days. This is the best day of my life. That's not going to get triggered for risk. But I'm having a horrible day. I'm thinking of taking my own life is going to get triggered for risk. And then the technology enables us to prioritize those really risky situations first, and then interact and intervene immediately. So that algorithm, something that we've been developing over 13 years, and a pretty neat part of the platform.
My concern with another concern I had was, okay, so when a person is responding and they are reaching out because the algorithm has, you know, beat them and you're responding to their text. One thing, I've used apps like Calm, 7 Cups of Tea, and things of that nature. And one thing that I didn't like about them is I already have this barrier that is the computer, you know, and of course there's a human behind it, but you know, there's a barrier. And so the second barrier that I noticed was the type of speech was it felt guarded, and it felt like formal, and that made me like not want to interact as much because I felt like they weren't necessarily hearing me. They were just trying to do like a problem solution, you know, kind of thing, and not really hear me as a person in my problems. So I guess what would Together All, I know since Together All is a peer-to-peer, that's already eliminating much of the fear because, you know, you have other people who are going through it talking to you. But what if you're going and you're getting to that unsafe aspect, and then a counselor does respond to you, I saw some of the terms are like, I'm so sorry you're going through this. Can we talk a little more? How do you guys work to make that like clinical type of speech a little bit more informal so that university student feels more connected with you guys?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and I think is at the core of what we do because of sort of the informal nature of what we have here. The sort of intervention that we do when there is risk is, while there are certain things that we absolutely need to ask and questions we need to make sure that we're doing to make sure that we're assessing for risk in the appropriate way, it is still to make it feel approachable. And if there is a student at risk, we actually want to get them on the phone and be able to make sure they have a voice-to-voice support. But that's a lot of the training that we do as our clinicians, and why we hire clinicians to do this work is to be sensitive and empathetic and understanding and approachable, right? Because the last thing you need and that's why we don't use scripted answers, we don't use bots. We want it to feel like a clinical, a human interaction, and I think that's very much the feedback that we get within it. And I think why we're now on so many campuses is because it is, it's never going to be the same as speaking to a counselor face to face, but we've mimicked that sort of natural discussion back and forth, I think, as well as we can in this kind of text-based environment.
Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah.
And Bruce.
That's a great question, though.
Thank you.
I had a quick question. It's like really quick. Is there an app for this, or is this all based on like desktop?
It's web-based, but it is mobile friendly. It actually kind of looks best on the mobile application, but it is mobile first, but not app-based.
Thanks so much for these amazing questions.
Yeah, it's really great.
I really appreciate it.
I think Candace had a question.
I'm good. Okay, just waiting to be recognized by the chair. Hi, Candace Martinez-Doan, staff member in Campus Life. So I guess, and I had to step away for a moment. My children were hungry.
I can hear I'm in my basement. I can hear a little bit of that in my house here too.
Yeah, as they're wont to be. They're like, we don't care you're in a meeting. Our tummies are rumbling. I was like, great, cool. So I'm sorry if I missed this part. So I know that you said you have clinicians, they're 24/7, they respond when things are sort of, for lack of a better word, flagged, right? Because you have these wall guides and you also have an algorithm running. So are these when a member or participant is, sort of escalated up to speaking with a clinician, is that falling within the parameters of like a session, or how, like, and then like, because I know that they're all master's levels clinicians, but like, are the same rules applying there as would apply as, say, if I'm doing like a telehealth appointment with my own therapist, or is it different? And I guess that's sort of where my mind goes with it.
Yeah, it's a great question. So what we do is we work with the individual institutions, how you would like us to handle those escalated cases. So, Bruce and I have talked a little bit about this, but we would, in this scenario, warm transfer a student who is in that immediate need and immediate risk to a clinician from your after hours counseling service. So it's actually one of the clinicians that you've employed in that capacity, rather than one of our clinicians doing that intervention. And because it is an immediate intervention, so I think you're maybe going down the line of licensure within states and that sort of thing. But so then that's up to the individual at the call center. And Bruce, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about how the after hours hotline works, but we work on that integration with them.
Yeah, well, if it was during the day, you'd be transferring them directly to the counseling center, right?
Yep,
so the after hours, we have a support line that's actually staffed by nurses, where they would connect to somebody immediately, would talk to them about their needs, connect them with emergency services if they needed to be right then, or encourage them to make an appointment at the counseling center the next morning if that was the appropriate.
Yeah.
Dr. Herman, if I'm not mistaken, the after hours service at UMBC is, from my experience, quite short. Like it doesn't go well into the night. So where would the student be, deployed? I can't do English right now, but where would be sent to? Because I guess one of the other problems for me, I'm a psychology major. If you didn't know that, but I've also had to use the counseling center several times, and one of the struggles I found was that most of the time when I was struggling late at night, the after hours service was already inaccessible.
No, the after hours service is 24 hours. I mean, it's open whenever the counseling center is closed.
By phone or by?
By phone. Yeah,
Okay.
whenever it's available whenever the counseling center is closed. The after hours service is available.
Oh, okay. Is that new or has it always been that way?
Relatively new. We've always had an on-call counselor that was
Okay, so
available
that's
for true emergency services, but we have an after hours support line that's been going since the spring.
Okay, so build like kind of with the development of COVID. Or was it already in the works before
It was in the works. It just happened to be with the development of COVID. It wasn't really related to COVID.
Okay, well that's exciting news. Okay, well thank you for updating me.
And Candace, just to kind of follow up on your question, it's something that we do across hundreds of campuses. Sort of that, how do we handle that specifically when we have a student who's really in that immediate need? And so that's why we work with either the on-call counselor or the after-hours service to make sure that it's going to be that intervention is going to be really specific to UMBC students.
Okay, so just so I understand sort of the path, right? So someone's in one of these spaces and says something that maybe the algorithm picks up and then notifies the wall guide, and then the wall guide maybe does like a preliminary assessment and then determines whether or not does the wall guide refer them or sort of warm transfer them to someone at UMBC, or do they then go to one of your master's level clinicians and then go to UMBC? No, from the wall
So they
guide
go to
to
UMBC. They go to the UMBC, that's right, yeah. And so our wall guides will have a back and forth with them too. So it's not as if they're gonna make an assessment and then kind of pass them over immediately. They're gonna have an interaction to kind of Kayla's question and have just a real human to human conversation about the scenario. And actually, in our experience, 85 to 90% of the risk kind of flags within our community are actually people who are, just expressing themselves and don't really have any of the intention of the plan to do anything to themselves.
Yeah.
So that's why that human interaction is really important.
Just to be clear, the wall guides are the master's level clinicians.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, got it.
Thanks,
That's
Bruce.
the part I missed. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about like sort of the number of pass-offs, right? Like, and just trying to think about that process, right? So cool.
It will be low for any one campus. It's very low. So we do probably 3 or 4 a day across 150 or nearly 200 institutions now. So it's very, very low. We may even go through a full year and not have to do any at UMBC as an example. But we need to make sure that process is there in case we do have a student who is in that immediate need, and we can make that connection.
I assume, Matt, that like one other option, like someone might, if they don't need to talk to someone like this minute, I mean, they have to be pretty dire to need to talk to another person this minute. They've talked to people in the community, they've talked to wall guides. So another option is they might make suggestions for them to follow up with services in the morning, right? It's not either they get services right now and go to the hospital, or they do nothing, right? I think
exactly. That's a great point. So part of what we do is gather, what other services are available And so, depending on how you're doing things, remote-based counseling now, or our clinicians, again, this is sort of this human intervention where we'll say, yeah, you may want to go to the counseling center tomorrow morning and actually have a chat with someone face-to-face. Or, okay, you're dealing with suicide. Did you know that Cognito has a suicide awareness simulation program that you might want to check out, when you have the time. So when it's not that imminent risk of needing to talk to someone else, they're going to make a recommendation, or it might just be, carry on within the community and just know that we're always here to support you if you need an extra boost with one of our master's level clinicians. And to Bruce's point, all of those wall guides are the master's level clinicians. So anyone who's a Together All staff member has that minimum qualification within the community. Great. Okay.
Yeah. Is there a point of contact if we have any future questions?
That would probably be me, I think, right? And I can connect to Matt also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. If there are no more remaining last questions. Oh, Rashad, yes.
Just a quick one. Has this program already started at UMBC or no? Not yet.
No, what I'm wanting would be helpful from you either tonight or in the future is a sense of how interested are you in this? Do you think this is worth UMBC taking the next step and investing in? It does cost money, right? And is this something that the Senate would be interested in, helping to promote with students to help promote? And that's kind of what I was hoping in some ways to get feedback from you about that in a way.
I personally love this program and idea. That's peer community support really it helps, especially during a pandemic. But outside of pandemic too, like post pandemic, it'll help with like test anxieties and depression and all that. So I love the idea.
I second that. You probably already know that I'm all for it. I like the sense of community. I mean, with like the clubs I have, we've been trying to make small discords, which are basically like chat platforms where we can keep in touch because it's really hard to do so, but even more centered toward mental health and well-being. Like WellTrack is a great platform, but to have that sense of peer-to-peer, I think is what it's missing. So I really enjoy it. I would totally anonymously hop on there.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so I think I don't want to speak for everybody here, but I think it's unanimous that we all love this idea. Is there a way that we as an SGA or Senate can put the word out about this when it's implemented in UMBC?
I'll be glad to, as we move forward, there may be even another step to get involved to getting you to have some conversation with people in terms of us getting the resources together to make this happen. So I may be coming forward even before we actually make the next step of finalizing this. But yes, that'd certainly be a lot of it. I'll be in touch.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks. Thank you all. The questions were amazing. I mean, really great. Thank you.
Yeah, agreed. Thanks very much. Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thank you all for coming.
Okay.
Take care, all.
Bye.
Bye. See, I have to share my screen again. Okay. All right, that was a wonderful presentation. It's 6:41. So let's keep the next line item going, and B, the floor is all yours for the initiative night.
Amazing. Do you mind if you can get off your screen so I can share my screen?
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, let me share mine. Okay, sweet. All right, folks. So SGA Initiatives Night, it's happening November 9th. It's right around the corner. So this is something that we will be talking further about in our upcoming one-on-ones. But I wanted to go ahead and take this time to just give y'all some updates on Initiatives Nights, as well as some reminders, some dates, some deadlines, as well as even a breakdown. Do not worry, this document is actually on the SGA Senate folder. So actually when you go to Senate and you go to Senate Initiatives, you'll see it right there. It's right next to the community guidelines, community standards. So you'll see it. Everyone should have access to it. But I'm just gonna go ahead and just go over this real quick. So the purpose for SGA Initiatives Night is essentially to showcase via WebEx the initiatives that y'all are working on as SGA senators, while also providing an opportunity for the student body and the campus community to connect with you all and to learn from you all on what y'all are working on. And just a heads up, there is a planning crew. Granted, we have not met yet. We're going to meet this week. But the planning crew, it consists of myself, Kai, and Maria. So for now, if y'all have any questions, refer them to me. But beyond this week, feel free to reach out to Kai and Maria as well, whether it's through email or through WebEx Teams. So a few things I would like for you all to essentially ask yourselves, and some decisions that I need y'all to think about when it comes to initiative nights. When it comes to showcasing your initiative, I want y'all to essentially ask yourselves the what, when, where, who, why, and how. And this is essentially broken down in the next part. I'll get to that after I talk about deadlines. But essentially, these are the questions I want y'all to think about when it comes to showcasing your initiative, as well as what are the steps that have been taken so far, what are the steps that will be taken. So definitely emphasize your action steps and your vision and or goals that you have for the initiative. So these are all the points that you should hit when it comes to presenting on your initiative. Decisions. So decisions that you have to make include whether you want to do it synchronously or asynchronously. Reminder, if you're doing synchronously, this means that you will be presenting live during the WebEx event, just like how I'm talking right now. That's what you'll be doing, like live, as we're all on the event. And the idea is, anyway, asynchronously, if you do go with asynchronously, the idea is that you'll do a pre-recorded video. For both options of synchronously and asynchronously, you will be expected to do some kind of PowerPoint, some kind of visual that essentially touches on everything that you're going to talk about. So whether you decide to do it pre-recorded video or you decide to do it synchronously, you are expected to do a PowerPoint. Another thing I wanted to note, if you're planning to do synchronously, you will be expected to turn in a script. So I'll touch a little bit on that on the dates and deadlines, but essentially the idea is that you will have a script on what you will be covering when you present. If you're doing asynchronously, you will be expected to submit a video draft. And so the dates for both of those are the same for everyone. And we can talk more on your options and decisions on that in your upcoming one-on-ones. The other decision I need y'all to think about is whether you're going to be partnering up with a senator or not on the initiative that you will be presenting. So this also ties back to whether you're planning to present on one or more initiatives. So are you planning to just showcase one of your initiatives? Is it your primary one or your secondary one? And does that initiative include other people? If it does include other people, do you want them to help you with the presentation or not? Also keep in mind that if you have another senator on board with an initiative, they might already be doing a presentation on another initiative that they have. So you might want to check in with them and see maybe where their workload is at, what are they already thinking about doing with their initiative. So now's the time to start asking your partners on what their plan is for initiatives nights. That way y'all can plan to prepare accordingly. Sweet. But I'm leaving it up to y'all on whether you want to present your initiative or initiatives by yourself or present it with a partner. Okay, so dates and deadlines. So these are the dates and deadlines I have for you all outlined for you all to essentially follow. By tomorrow, you should already have an idea on what you want to present. Don't worry, I'm not really going to ask each of you tomorrow, hey, what are you going to present on? I just kind of like wanted to put that date just in case you already had something in mind. Just, you know, be mindful of it. At least this week, like for this week, start thinking about what initiative or initiatives you want to present on for Initiatives Night. Now, by October 19th, which is next Senate meeting, I am going to actually ask you all to have your final decisions done with. So that means choosing what initiative or initiatives you will be officially showcasing for Initiative Nights. Are you going to do it synchronously or asynchronously? Are you going to partner up with a senator to present on one of your initiatives? How many initiatives are you presenting on? So I will be checking on y'all next Monday through WebEx Teams on where you're at with your final decisions. By Monday, October 26th, which is 2 weeks from now, we will be starting our presentation practice during our one-on-one meetings. So that's when it starts. So as of that week, we will begin practicing our showcasing our presentation skills, whether you're going to do video or not. That's when we're going to start presenting during our one-on-one meetings. And then this practice will end by Friday, November 6th. By Sunday, November 1st, by 11:59 p.m., I will expect on my in my inbox, I will expect either a script, a draft of the first draft of your script that you plan on using to present what if you're doing it synchronously, and I expect as well a video pre-recorded video rough draft if you're doing it asynchronously. So that's by Sunday, November 1st, 11:59 p.m. By Saturday, November 7th, 11:59 p.m., I expect final drafts because that on that Sunday when I receive the first drafts, my plan is to send back out my feedback to you all by Senate meeting. So you should have it in your inbox by the time it's Senate. You should have in your inbox my feedback on your drafts, and then you have essentially 5 days to fix anything that needs to get fixed, and then turn in your final draft by that Saturday, 11:59 p.m. And then by Monday, November 9th, it's showtime. It's the day that you will be presenting your initiative, whether it's pre-recorded or live. And then this is the breakdown that I have for you all to focus on when it comes to your presentation. Some of these questions may or may not apply to you, but just make sure that you essentially hit on as many of these points as possible. So with the what, talk about what is the initiative, what is the vision and or goals that you have as it relates to your initiative. What research, data, or benchmarking did you utilize to help support your initiative idea? The when, this is essentially where you share your timeline. Make sure you're being realistic with the timeline too. And if your initiative includes an event or an opportunity, when will that event or opportunity be taking place? That would be a great time to like highlight when those dates are. The where / the who. So where will this initiative be taking place? Who will it benefit and or serve? So think about your student population, campus partner, etc. And who will be assisting and or collaborating with you to make this initiative happen. This could be your fellow senator, this could be a campus partner, this can be a student org or student population, whatever it is, just put those on there, your collaborators. The why. So why is this initiative necessary / needed at UMBC? Why is it unique or different from what is already offered on campus? And finally, the how. So what steps have been taken and or will be taken in order to accomplish this initiative? So think about your action steps. How will you implement this change on campus? And how can students, this is the one that's may or may not be applicable to you, but how can students get involved with your initiative? So if you have an initiative where students, you may need more hands or volunteers to make the initiative happen, or you need anything that requires a student body, feel free to put that in your presentation. So this is a general breakdown for you all. Again, this is already in the Senate folder. Feel free to be as creative as you want with it. I will be checking in with you all during our one-on-ones. If you have any questions or need a sounding board for creative ideas, feel free to let me know, or feel free to tap into your fellow senators, or feel free to ask Kai or Maria. And yeah, I'll open the floor for any questions that y'all may have at this time as it relates to SGA Initiatives Nights. Kai?
I have a question. I have 3 questions. Okay. When you say script, do you mean like a rough outline of what we're going to say?
Yep, a rough outline of what you're going to be talking about. Yep.
Okay, cool. Next is are FYAs allowed to contribute? Because I'm working with a group of FYAs for the other half of the initiative.
In what way would you think that they can tell me more about that? In what ways do you think that they can contribute?
Well, Wendy, Maria, Julius, and I were working on the pilot program for this one for the menstrual product, and then me and the group of FYs are working on the long-term solution. So I'm trying to figure out like how to merge those two or keep them separate.
No, that works. That works. I was just curious, but yeah, that works for sure. Yeah, feel free to have them on board.
Cool. Had another question. Oh, well, it's not more of a question, but an idea is to have students more involved, like the last item on your thing says how do you, it's applicable. One thing that I remember doing that was very effective for last year's initiative night was having like students share their stories or their perspective, and it can be anonymous or they can share their name. That's all up to them, but having them share their story really impacts on the power of your initiative, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and in honor of that, I would also even add that if let's say the SGA survey didn't get the results you wanted in terms of the answers that you wanted for your specific question as it relates to your initiative, this would probably be the best place to also maybe re-ask that question that you have. Like if you wanted to collect data as you're presenting, this is a great way to do so. So just an idea. Anybody else? Any questions? Mershad?
I just had a minor suggestion. Would it be possible to change the title to SGA Senator Initiatives Night? Just because, outside of Senate, there's also other initiatives that are not going to necessarily be showcased in this night, unless you guys wanted to.
Nope, that works. Can do. I'll rename it to SGA Senate Initiatives Nights. Anybody else? I'm gonna check the chat real quick. Looks like we're good. All right, sweet. So if y'all have any other questions, anything pressing, any thoughts, concerns, feel free to let me know through WebEx Teams. Okay, I'm gonna pass it over to Kai now. Thanks, bye.
Thanks, B. Okay. All right, next item is the office hours. Yeah, I just wanted to get like just really quick update on office hours. Like I just wanted to see how they were going for those who had their Monday office hours. If you transition to the new one, to your new style, if you're preferring your old one, I just wanted to know how they're going.
I didn't have my office hours yet, but I think for those who are doing the Instagram takeover stories, I think that starts next week.
Oh, we start next week. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to see where we were at with office hours because it's always a big issue. Okay, yeah. I just wanted to know. It was going to be really quick. All right, let's move on. Senator updates. Let's go to initiatives. Okay, Julius, do you mind starting off?
Yeah, this is gonna be, I guess, a little a quiet week for me. I think I'm just gonna try and focus on. I thought I changed it in here. I guess I didn't, because I was going to start making some sort of constitution rough draft. This is like stupid rough draft of a constitution of like what the idea of just like what I want for the program potentially, and after looking at some things that were said in the workshop on Saturday, I'm just gonna start incorporating that. Once the survey is done, I don't know if the survey is completed or not. The research is out. I have no idea. But once that's done, I can really start making a proposal, and yeah, that's I'm just gonna focus on that right now. I was thinking about meeting people, but I think I'll hold that off until next week.
Thanks, Julius. Yeah, it can be kind of slow waiting for data results, so it do be like that sometimes. Something my doctor said I should stop saying. All right, Wendy.
So I haven't. Wait.
Oh, we're having some trouble hearing you, Wendy.
Is this better?
Yes.
So last Friday, I met with Aaron and Nibby from Sga, and I've started to draft a JR for my sustainability initiative. It's kind of rough right now. I'm hoping to meet with the representatives from the Office of Sustainability, but they said that they can't really like endorse this because there's like a conflict of interest because they're like employed by UMBC, so their like hands are basically tied. But I'm still gonna ask to see if there's like anything that I can include. And then I'm also going to be contacting people in Greek life to hopefully get a drive going for extra products for the group initiative that I did with Julius and Freya. Hopefully that'll let us go through our pilot without having to use a ton of money, and then we can focus on the long-term solution, like concurrently.
Yeah, definitely for that drive, for the Metro product. If you need help, I can put in a comms request form to get the word out for that. Something that just came to me. But yeah, thanks, Wendy. Monty, you said you'll type. So in the meantime, can we move on to Kayla while we wait for Monty to type? Is Kayla here? Okay, while we wait for Kayla, Mario, if you could share.
Yeah, so in the past week, and I guess like my newer updates since our last meeting was I had meetings with Haley Owens from the We Believe You student organization and then Officer Black from the Florida State University Police Department. And so both the meetings were really informative. I got to learn a lot more about the works of having a survivors advocate position on campus. And so it turns out that Haley and We Believe You, everybody who's involved in that organization, that's like my initiative is also their initiative. So that was really nice to know. So right now we're looking at if, based off like my conversation with her, it seems like they already have like data collection and like these talks with the administration already for bringing this position on campus. So now it's more so a curiosity regarding, things like funding and budget cuts, because that's where a lot of the concerns fall.
Yeah, especially for the during a pandemic, budget's very strict and tight right now. So, but if we could work on like a foundation to be, it would help like get the ball rolling. Maybe not definitely after post pandemic, but it'll get the gears turning. But yeah, thanks, Mena.
Hi. So for my initiative with the contacting the Y to offer student discounts, I'm still working on that. Like, as in, I've sent out emails and like they haven't really. They're very vague. They kind of like drift me from one person to another, and getting me in contact with someone who can like actually help me. But I think I've sent it, I think this time to like someone who is supposed to help me, but I'm not sure yet. And tomorrow I'll probably go in person since I'm gonna be there anyway to talk to somebody in person. Hopefully, because I did that last week, but there wasn't when I went, there wasn't anyone who could help me at that time. So that's what I'm doing for this, and I am trying to work on a second initiative for now. Oh, also I got into the dining committee so I can address those concerns because that's not really an initiative, but it's more like just some concerns that students have brought up to me, like for example, the mislabeling of vegan units. So basically, yeah, that's not really an initiative. It's just something I'm gonna bring up when I'm in the dining committee. And third, I'm working on a new initiative to basically install like compost with like because there's the compost trash bins in the not trash bins, but there is like places that you can compost food in the commons, but there isn't any of the dorms, and so I'm seeing a lot of it. Like I just feel like we should like include them in the dorms. So I'm gonna uh, try to reach out to people soon towards that and work on that. Like that will be my second initiative from now on. And yeah.
Yeah, it sounds great. Let me know if you need backup, if they never give back to you. I will kick down their manager's door and won't leave until I get an answer. So I'll be your backup.
Well,
I,
thank you.
I got you. I don't know how to fight, but I can kick. As far as the compost, that's a great idea. That's very that's something that you could possibly collaborate with the eco ambassadors. They're
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask Wendy, but then I felt like Wendy had too much on her plate, so I wasn't sure. But Wendy, I can speak to you later about that if you'd like. I just didn't want to
Candace says me.
add more. Okay, yeah, we'll talk later. All right.
Yeah, that's me asking. I'm sorry. That's how we do it in finance board. I forget that's not how. I'm asking for you to recognize me as the chair.
Oh, I recognize you.
Okay. And I also have experience. Prior to this, I was the director of housing operations at Johns Hopkins, and we did a in-room pilot program for composting. So like we had Hopkins has composting across campus, but they didn't have it in the residence halls. They just had like big trash cans
Yeah.
for composting. And so we piloted a program for like the smaller composting bins and like figured out which bags were the best and which bins were the best and then all that kind of so I would love to talk to you about what I learned about that so that you could bring it to because I
Please, that
know
would be really good.
yeah, because I know Res Life would be like, oh no, you'll get bugs and mice, and that's
Yeah.
the reasons why they don't want to do it. So, but yeah, I'd love to talk to you about it.
Yes, please. I will email you later, or yeah, or reach out to you through WebEx, on a texting thing. All right, thank you so much. Oh wait,
Thanks,
actually,
man.
one more thing. I was thinking of the mask thing too, like how to properly dispose of masks. But I feel like that's also sanitary. I mean, because you know how like they're just been thrown everywhere, discarded on the streets and everything. So I'm like, I'm seeing some in the bins in UMBC and stuff. So I wasn't sure. Like that one, I haven't done any research on. So like, I'm not even really sure how to properly get rid of masks because also there's sanitary matters, not just like just getting like compost, but it's also yeah. But I was also, if anyone has anything to say about that, I would love to hear more about it.
Are masks compostable?
Not
Yeah.
compostable, sorry, like getting because they're not being like one thing I know that I saw was like you're supposed to rip off the strings so that because animals are getting stuck in the mask because they're being everywhere. So that's one thing I do with my mask, but I still throw them in the trash like regularly. So I was trying to like make sure that like people around campus are like probably getting like disposing of the mask correctly. But I don't really know much about it, and I will probably do some research on it as well. So because I feel like that's also something that's really that needs to come up now.
Yeah, these are all good ideas. Candace.
I think that's a great idea. And I think you could do a social norming campaign with communications to talk about like push it out around like I think two things. One, how to get rid of disposable masks, the cutting of the things, because I think I didn't even think about that until you said it, the cutting of the straps. And then two, if you're using reusable masks, how to properly use those, right? Because like you're not supposed to use it over a period of days. You're supposed to use it and then wash it and then wear a next one. Like we have like 50 masks, reusable masks in my house because we are cuckoo. But like just like thinking about like how are maybe people don't know because it's not something we do all the time. We've been
Yeah,
doing for a
yeah.
long time, right? So I think, yeah, thinking about how do you do a social norming campaign? That's what that's called about telling people how do you do something, right? So yeah, think about how you could do that with communications. But you're right. Do some research.
Are you okay? Are you okay? Oh.
What happened?
Oh, sorry. No, it's just your voice cut out. Oh, I thought
Oh
maybe.
no, I just am dramatic for no reason. Sorry.
Okay. And yeah, I'm definitely gonna do my research for that. Like one thing I know for sure is that you're supposed to take off the strings. So like that's like one thing I've been doing, but I want to do a spread awareness about that. So yeah, I will work with communications. So I'm really glad that you told me that. Because at first I was like, I just wasn't, I didn't look into it much, so I wasn't, well informed. But yeah, and I just want to make sure that like we're probably get just because we're getting so many like I just see it like I see it on campus, I see it in the trash, I see it sometimes like on the floor, like really rarely, but like it happens. So I'm like so yeah, and I will reach out to both of you and Wendy soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Meta. So many great ideas. I'm gonna verbally speak what Monty typed in the chat. So, last week, she met with the team and looked over what needs and some issues that needed to be addressed as well. Also met with SOST as well. She will be working with them in one of their initiative ideas. Met with Carlos and Aaron today to see how we can go about with the multicultural event initiative idea. Apart from the meeting with IES and SOST this week, it was pretty dry. Yeah, midterms week. It's very understandable. What does the acronym SOST stand for again?
Student Organization Support Team.
Student Organization Support Team. Oh, okay. With Joshua and them. Okay, cool. Thanks. Good job, Monty. Yeah, thanks for all the hard work during this stressful season of midterms. So, Nayla Benet.
Okay, yeah, so I marked mine done because pretty much it is. Like at first when I came up with the initiative, I wasn't yet in a position in the council to like really do it to the fullest, but then I got appointed co-director of communications and marketing, so it became a little bit easier and also made it much faster. So that's why I'm already done with it. But I wanted to like run by a new idea for initiative by you guys because it's still kind of in the planning. I've talked to B and Rashad briefly about it, but I really wanted to have maybe a space for like either officers of cultural orgs or maybe members of different student cultural orgs to maybe do like an IGTV um, like segment on the SGA page, maybe like have like a music night or like a cultural Q&A or something like that. So like students who aren't really aware of like who's running these cultural orgs or like who's in them or what they're about, if they don't follow that page, they would see it on the SGA page. And then since like student orgs can't really have a lot of events right now, it'll be a good way for them to like reach out to other students and like share their cultural orgs in like a nice, like a fun, light way that is easy. So that's like the baseline like for what I'm thinking about right now.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. That kind of sounds something similar to what Mati is doing with student or collaboration. So maybe involving SGA within that. I like that idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I love that. One quick thing, are you sure that the My UMBC page would be like the best place to put it? Because I know like I don't really spend a lot of time there. Honestly, I just go there to like access Blackboard. I don't really like scroll around. So I was thinking maybe something like Instagram takeovers.
Oh no, that's what I said. The SGA.
I'm so sorry. I thought you said My UMBC.
Oh no, you're fine. I mean, that would be good for. I mean, either one would be good. But I was originally I wanted to do like story posts, but Rashad like briefed me about how you can't really just give the password out to anyone. I wasn't really thinking about that, but I think IGTVs are good because you can post like lengthy videos and you can delete them and add new ones. So I don't know.
Is it for all multicultural organizations on campus, or is there a specific region?
No, I would like it to be any multicultural org. So yeah, if you're if you're in a student org that's based around like your specific culture or ethnicity or things like that, then you would be eligible for this initiative.
Yeah.
Do you think other orgs that aren't really cultural orgs would want to join in just to get more visibility? Like, would you turn them down just because they don't fall under that category?
I wouldn't say this is like something to be turned down from. I mean, not that like I wouldn't want them to or anything, but I really would like it to be based off of student culture org just because I know from like my experience personally, a lot of my friends who are officers of culture orgs, like they talk a lot about how people like know their org exists, but they don't know who's running it. So they don't know who to contact. They don't know like anything about it. They just know it exists. And with orgs that aren't culturally based, it's not really like that because everyone, like a wider variety of people can join. So that's why I wanted to focus it on cultural student orgs.
I'm all for it if it involves with student collaboration in a positive manner. I love the idea. I'll support it 100%.
Thank you. Do you guys have any like things I should look out for? Any feedback? Like I am gonna email Joshua tonight. So yeah, thanks B. Because B brought that up when I first gave her like the initiative idea. But do you guys have any other things that I should try and like incorporate? Because this is really just like in the planning phases. So I really don't know exactly how I want to go about it yet.
It so when you say takeover, is it gonna be a day, every day is a different organization, or and what are they going to showcase? Like what their organization is about, or the cultural aspect behind their organization?
Yeah, so like that's a really good point. I haven't really thought about something like that. I was thinking off the top of my head, like we could have music weeks. So every day an IGTV is posted from a different cultural org and they showcase their music from their culture or their favorite songs that have to do with their cultural org. Or we could have like food videos where they show like what they're eating if it has to do with like their cultural background or like fashion, things like that. Or even just like awareness for everyone. So it could be like different topics each week. I don't know how long it would last. Like that would be, um, I don't know how long like the takeover would last, but it would still be fun to just have like maybe 3 or 4 categories and then a student org pops on if they would like they can apply like through a Google form or something like that and say what they would like to share when they'd like to go on, things like that.
Yeah.
I had a quick idea. I know a lot of clubs plan out all their events and like general body meeting topics ahead of time. So if any of them have like graphics or just a schedule of events that they can include, I think that would help so that people can see what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. That it could be like promotional for them too. I see. I like that idea.
Well, I'm not aware of any obstacles that you might run into, but I would definitely communicate this with Joshua. But yeah, is there any feedback for Nail Benet? I forgot the phrase "hold now" or some. It was in the Shrek movie. Maybe ask comms for ideas too. Yes, definitely collaborate and communicate this with Callista, Michelle, and the comms department team. But yeah, this is a great idea. I can't wait to see it.
Thank y'all.
All right. Next is Patrick. He is in a meeting right now discussing his Greek LLC idea with the Greek organizations. So Z.
I have like a little forum question that B is going that B in like put in with her like general SGA survey, and if that doesn't get me any results, I'm going to work with communications on sending it like something with that out. And also, like I agree with what you said, Kai. I'm going to work with Bruce like with this. I forgot the name already, but with
Together.
the new app.
Together all.
That's the new name, and because I think I can help. Because with mental health, that being one of my initiatives, and I think I can help like spread that around. Since I also work in the Office of Health Promotion and I'm Vice President of NAMI, I think I can really do something well with that and get that off the ground.
Yeah. Definitely collaborate this with NAMI. Very big. Yeah, again, I'm gonna wait for those results to come in, but yeah, I can't wait for Together All. I was very impressed and excited to see such an idea exist. Brought me back to Yik Yak, but like in a positive thing.
Kai?
Yes.
I think it's pronounced TikTok.
TikTok. Oh no. Nobody remembers Yik Yak? Oh, I'm old. Oh, B remembers Yik Yak. Is Kayla here? Okay, we'll just move on to our next thing. But yeah, I created a group, or I reconvened with the FYAs helping with my initiative for the free menstrual products, working on a long-term solution. I'm just working a time schedule fits, see if everyone fits that time. And I'm still waiting to hear back from Res Life and the Women's Center about piloting the program and the stock that they use management wise. So, right. The next one. Oh, university steering. So before I start my update on university steering committee, are there any updates from chair governance committees?
Hi, do you mind if I share my screen? Because I put something in the WebEx about athletics policy, but I haven't gotten a response, and I would really like to get one by the end of tonight.
Mm-hmm. The floor is all yours.
Okay, I'm just gonna share. One sec, I can't find this. Okay. Can you guys see this? Okay, so here are all the times and dates for athletics policy, and I'm looking for 2 senators who can sit on this committee.
Mondays at 2:30?
Yeah, pretty much every month, just once a month, and it's usually the 4th Monday, except for December, because it'll be the holidays.
At 2:30.
And someone who's not Kai.
I can do it.
Kai is already sitting on way too many SGC, so we're not putting him on this one.
I'll do it.
Was anyone? Who is that?
Naila Benet, I'll do it.
Okay. Thank you. And then, is there someone else who's available?
Oh my gosh, Wendy, thank you for putting the hyphen over that. You don't know how much that means to me, like literally.
I do that whenever your name comes up. It's like the bare minimum. Okay, is someone else available?
Remember, there's everyone needs to be on at minimum 2.
I can have a synchronous class at that time. And the guy's recording attendance.
All right, at this point, I'm just gonna record who's not free.
That guy. Aw.
Is there anyone else who knows they're definitely not free the fourth Monday each month at 2:30 p.m.?
Mati in the chat says no.
Okay, thank you. I didn't have the chat up.
Yes, I also
yeah,
have
as
class
well.
at that time.
Mena, are you the one who just said that?
Yeah, I have class at that time.
It's okay.
Before it used to be Wednesdays, but he switched it now to Monday lecture. I don't know why he did that, but
Maria as well has class at then.
Yeah, I know she mentioned possibly doing it, but I really don't want her to skip because it's synchronous.
The people who are not here today are Emmanuel Patrick.
Yeah, let me count. So, okay, I'm gonna.
Okay, what about Kayla Z? Are y'all free at that time?
Who did I miss?
no, Emmanuel was trying to do something with athletics, like
Yeah,
something
I was
for
hoping Emmanuel because I've actually emailed him and then messaged him on WebEx Teams, but I don't think he uses WebEx because it says the last time he was active was September 28th.
Oh, did you try emailing him? He wants to email me.
Oh, the way I communicate to Emmanuel is through Facebook Messenger.
Okay, I might have to try that. Okay, because if Emmanuel can't do it, I'll see if I can miss part of my practice to do it. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Wendy.
If Emilio can't, like, if no one can do it, I can email because my teacher has another time. Like, he teaches the 1 o'clock lecture, so I can ask to switch over to that, and I think he'll be understandable. But I'd rather not do that because I'm in part of a group. So
No.
unless no one else can do it, I can do it.
Academics first. So keep that in the back of your head or in the front of your head. Keep that in your head. Academics first. Okay. Okay. Are there any more? Were there any shared governance committee updates other than university steering committee? No. Okay. I will. Oh, I gotta pop the chat up. Okay. So, some things that were said. So, somebody representing Dr. Rabowski was at this meeting, and talked about the upcoming university retreat. The theme is going to be Empowered University. All the information is here, but just remember that the dates are going to be October 27th, 4 to 6 p.m. Or there's three separate dates, each with its own topic. So October 27th, 4 to 6 p.m. for research and creative achievement, kind of like ERCAD, but extending outside of undergraduates as well. November 18th, 4 to 5:30 p.m. is teaching and learning. So I'm assuming that's going to be more on the faculty staff side. And then December they're doing like a little celebration, being like, "Yay, 2020 is almost over." So, yeah. All right. Up next is Provost Rouse. He gave us an update. They're complying with health and safety testing and training. They will be announcing the plans for spring semester by the end of next week. That's all I can say on that. And the academic calendar will be the same as published. There was a conversation about maintaining spring break because administration realizes that students are going through like a stressful period and they need a break from this fatigueness of being in front of a computer all day. A lot of universities are removing spring break because of the worrying about people contacting or contracting corona. So a lot of universities are getting rid of spring break, but UMBC is like, no, we're keeping spring break. All right. So yeah, they have a lot of plans created just in case, because we're going in a fast-paced, changed environment, and things are changing so rapidly. So there's a lot of plans in place in case something happens. November 15th is the deadline for Res Life priority housing for the spring semester. So reach that out to the constituents of students. There was a conversation about possibly having a break for staff and faculty for spring break, because usually staff and faculty only have 2 to 3 days off on a given year. Yeah, we're still having that Thanksgiving break, but I think it's like an extra day or two. I don't know if it's a break. It's just a long weekend. I wouldn't worry about this currently. I still have to reach back to Candace, not our Candace. I have to reach back to Candace Dotson Reed. Unless Mershad, you can talk more about this. But this is all I could type because she was kind of talking kind of fast. So I'm waiting to hear her response back about what I can type for the notes.
So are you asking regarding the executive order or the town hall that they had?
Both. I was only able to write down that they were thinking of holding a town hall, and then there was a conversation about the executive order.
Sure. So that town hall already was held. The Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation town hall was already held, and the engagement was great. There was around like 350 people from the university community that attended that town hall. Regarding the executive order, if you guys did not know, the Trump administration put out an executive order that basically, the gist of it is that it basically outlaws federal departments and any contractors that are involved with federal government to engage in un-American diversity training, and it basically says that diversity and inclusion training has to be optional for everyone. And the university's trying to figure out the implications of this, just because it goes against what UMBC stands for. Basically, is what the best way I can put it. Yeah, that's the conversation that we're having. It shouldn't affect our day to day all that much unless we make ourselves a target against against the rest of the country. But it is something to be cognizant of, just because this executive order does affect a lot of people in our nation and the way that we go about diversity and inclusion training. And I'm not that I can answer any questions that you guys have about that and UMBC's response to it.
If not, can always reach Mershad or I. Probably Mershad's your safe bet, because I don't have the full information like Mershad has. So, and if you have any questions in the future, just reach on out. Okay, so that's basically it. What we talked about University Steering Committee. Let's go to our next thing. Announcements. Are there any announcements anybody have? Mershad, I saw your hand first.
I don't know if this goes to an SGCs or an initiatives, but who sits on the library policy shared governance committee, the library renovation? It was brought to my attention that the library is closed, right? But all 7 floors are lit. Like the lights are on overnight. It does not matter if if it's closed or not. And I was just wondering if that's something that we could tackle. Yes, Candace, go ahead.
I think it's a good idea to find out. My first question would be, is it because we are on the flight path of BWI that they have to have it lit? I do know that there is building size restrictions on UMBC. I'm pretty sure, because of how close we are, but I think it's a great idea to ask. ILSB is also guilty of those things, of just having lights on. But yeah, sorry, but that was the first thing that came to my mind. Is it because of BWI?
They just want to showcase that brand new building. Yeah, Wendy says that she will ask Dr. Terry Bolton. Great, thanks, Wendy. Yeah, and thank you, Michelle, for pointing that out. Are there any announcements? Any more announcements? Okay. All right. If not, I will go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 7:32 p.m. It's 2 minutes off. All right, and I'll stop sharing. Candace, am I in charge of the recording? Here, all right, yeah, I gotta stop the recording.